Welcome to the Performance Portfolio Podcast with Coop and Coop. Greg Cooper is the owner of Cooper Performance Coaching and lead instructor at Kodakwai Judo Club in Edmonton, Alberta. He is on the lifelong pursuit of helping others increase their performance. Cooper Allen is a top financial advisor from Barrie, Ontario, whose focus is empowering everyday families with advice, leadership, and tools that we should have been given in school. Together, they bridge the gap between performance and finance to help you create your own robust performance portfolio. With that, let's get into today's episode.
Coop. Last week, we were talking about high performers, what that environment looks like at a young age, how nature and nurture plays a role into it. And today, we're going to take the high performance route again, but from a little different angle. Where are we taking it today?
Yeah, I think there's potential when people hear the topic of high performance, they think of their kid at 8 years old and how do we make them become the next Connor McDavid. But they don't think of it through the lens of I'm 28 years old, I'm 58 years old, I'm 42 years old in a standard 9 to 5 job, maybe a parent, not a parent, contributing member of the community. What would be in it for me to become a high performer? And not someone who's doing Red Bull crashed ice and jumping off of buildings and doing all that type of stuff. But just being more than mediocre. And I wanted to touch on that and just pick your brain a little bit on the difference between ordinary and mediocre and how ordinary people can start to tread a line more towards high performance as opposed to mediocrity. So what are kind of some of your initial thoughts on that before we deeper dive?
This might not seem important, but especially if you listen to last week's episode, I love that you used the Red Bull athlete as an example to start because we were talking about creating an environment where risk is okay and creativity and your own path. I would love to sit down and talk with Mark McMorris's parents. Anybody who does Red Bull Rampage. You know, these athletes that do insane things. Literally, their job is, I'm going to strap this piece of board on my feet and jump off a 15-story building, and I'm going to do 18 backflips while I do it, land it, and be okay. I don't care how long a mom has seen their son do that. They're afraid every time. But they don't bubble. They never did, or else those athletes wouldn't exist. So I think it's a great example because everybody can see that and appreciate to a level how crazy it is. You know, the world just watched Alex Honnold climb the Taipei building with no ropes in 90 minutes. Now, scientifically, he is literally built different because his brain doesn't perceive fear and adrenaline the same. But he has a family and 2 kids. So his wife is also not holding him back. These are athletes and people that are in environments that allow them to express themselves creatively and in the manner that they want. That's an environment of high performance. Going back to today's topic of, high performance, mediocrity, and contributing to our communities, the difference is, it's a large question, but on the high performance route, if you're truly on the path of that, and let's use the professional sports world, your path of high performance is taking you into millions of dollars and you're set for life. You can create a lot of very positive impact in a lot of people's lives. We see athletes all the time. They have their charity funds. They have their kids' sports things where they're bringing up underprivileged kids or they're supplying this. That's a lot of impact, and that is what high performers do. Now, on the mediocre side, let's put it on the same level. A mediocre average person who makes millions of dollars a year, but their give a shit level is so low, they barely take care of themselves. They could use, and I'm not saying when you have money, you have to give it away. Not at all. But they don't even offer their time. They're doing nothing for their community. They don't shovel the walk for their neighbor every once in a while. They don't pick up a piece of garbage when they're on a pathway walking. They just go, who would throw that out? Well, now they're just as bad as the person who dropped that can on the pathway. They don't pick up their dog's poop at the dog park. Oh, I forgot my bags. There's bags at the gate when you walk in, right? That is mediocre, regardless of the value of money they have. And on the same side, a professional athlete that isn't paid a lot. There's a lot of professional athletes, Olympic athletes that don't make money at all. But they still go and coach at their home clubs when they're at home. They still support charities. They still do all of this good for the community. And they're contributing in more than just themselves. And that is actually really impressive in the world of high performance, because as a high performer, as I talked about, you have to sacrifice a lot. You have to be obsessed and you have to be so dedicated that at times it is a necessity that you are selfish. Selflessness in the high performance world, when it's shown, it's truly a thing of beauty because it is pure. It's not rare, but it is pure. A lot of high performers give. So that's a really long way of saying, regardless if you have a lot of money or a lot to give versus nothing, the fact that you do and that you think about it and you're doing these acts of service to your community, to your friends, to your family, to the people around you, that is a big difference between traits of a high performer and traits of somebody who is average, or we'll use mediocre in this term, because they just don't care about anything. They barely care about themselves, and they're usually in that pool of fat, sick, and nearly dead.
Absolutely. I want to point out something too from more of a financial lens. The person that you described that makes the millions but doesn't do anything other than that contributes to their community, that's the person that's the reason some people don't want to be wealthy. Because they see that person and go, oh, all rich people are snobs, and if I became rich, I wouldn't want to be a snob like that. When I was transitioning from the world of standard employee 9 to 5 thinking, growing up through the school system, being a rule follower, into entrepreneurial world, thinking differently, prioritizing community, things like that. One of the biggest transitions I needed to go through mentally was I needed to change my relationship with money. I was always that guy that was like, yeah, I'll make my 70, 80 grand a year, live a happy life. I'm all good. I don't want to make a bunch of money. I don't want to be one of those like snobby guys. So I get it. I understand. If you come from that frame, I get it. I needed to change my relationship with that. I needed to understand that money is simply a tool and a magnifying glass. If you are a good person without money, you are going to be a phenomenal person with it. If you are a mediocre person without money, you are going to be a terrible person with it. And that's just the truth. All money is a tool to buy back more of your time to do more of what you'd like to do. And if you're a good person, part of what you'd like to do is good things. So that's my first point on that. The second part to that is when we think about the difference between ordinary and extraordinary, or mediocre and high performance, whatever words that you want to use. Oftentimes, people who become high performers in life, not necessarily in sport, but in their job as a parent, day to day, they are very ordinary people who just think a little bit differently about the world. They're not doing 2 days in the gym. They're not working 15 hours a day in their job. They've just chosen to make it about something that's bigger than themselves. And the reason that, in my opinion, becoming a high performer outside of sport, outside of competing, if it's not about making more money and if it's not about competition, you take those two factors out of there. Because those are the primary two reasons that people want to be high performers. They want the money, they want the competitiveness. It's either men will die for trophies, like that type of thing. Outside of that, there's two reasons you should strive to maybe not be an elite performer, but at least be a high performer. One is out of duty. You got to look at the world right now and go, the average person in our society is not white picket fence, went to university, got married, had kids, had a nice family, beautiful movie-esque life all the way through, no financial hardship, had a ton of fun on the evenings and weekends. That's not what's going on in society. That's the picture that's painted. That's the dream that's sold by our system. But the truth is that average right now is, like Greg said, fat, sick, nearly dead. 50% of marriages plus ending in divorce, 50 plus percent of people getting a critical illness in their lifetime, suicide rates at all-time highs, statistically over 90% of people still dependent on needing to work or government sources by the time they get to age 65. Our communities are getting less and less safe. Our justice system is broken. Our political system is broken. Our healthcare system is broken. Our financial system is broken. I would argue actually a lot of those systems aren't broken. They're doing exactly what they were designed to do. It just wasn't to help the little guy. So average, if you're striving to live a regular, normal, average, ordinary life, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get mental illness. You're going to get critical illness. You're going to get not a lot of, probably not great physical health. Your financial health sucks. Your physical health sucks. Your mental health sucks because you want to be normal. So to me, a big part of the reason to strive more towards high performance than mediocrity is for society to increase the standards of what average is and get average closer to the dream that was sold of white picket fence life. We need average people, ordinary people, to start doing more high performance things so that a rising tide lifts all ships. And that now we can get to a world like the way people think of high performance right now, where a lot of people think average is white picket fence life and high performance is Connor McDavid. But that's not the case right now. Average is fat, sick, nearly dead, depressed, broke. And we need more high performers to showcase average, ordinary people becoming high performers, to showcase to their community that, hey, someone from my side of the tracks can do it. They're not jumping off of buildings, but they're a stand-up person in the community. When they show up to the job, even if they don't own the place, even if they're employee, they treat it like they own the place. They're trying to drive revenue for the organization. They're trying to drive impact for their consumers. They're giving it their best. They're not just mailing it in, dogging it in, treating it like a country song. Let's like punch a clock at 5 o'clock. Don't care anymore. Check it out. Go numb my life. So to me, the first reason someone should strive to be a high performer is I think you have a duty to your community to set an example that you as a regular person can do above average things. It starts with you. Everyone's looking around right now. There's a lot of people looking around going, man, I don't like the world that I'm living in. But not a lot of people going, let me put up a mirror and figure out what needs to be done to change it. So how about the change starts in your home? Before you start critiquing your community, maybe start with you and your spouse and your kids and the people around you. And you fix yourself, then you fix your home, then you fix your community. Not complain about your community, but then do nothing internally. So there's a second point to that, but I'm curious before I dive into it, what your initial thoughts are on that.
Really great point you made there. And at the end, you talked about, the wrong side of the tracks. I had a conversation with just somebody in passing, like a random occurrence about this. And it was about privilege. Now, there's a lot of definitions of that, but I'll save that for another day. And essentially, we disagreed completely. And they went, well, if you grow up in the bad part of town your whole life, like you're never expected. And they went completely down the route of complaining about circumstance. I went, fair enough. 100%. The street you grew up on matters. My dad used to say that when I was younger, and I didn't really understand it. And then I got older and went, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But it can be a good thing or a bad thing. You grow up on the wrong side of the tracks. That environment creates some of the world's most successful, most high performer, most giving people on the planet because they came from nothing. And they don't want that to ever happen in their family's future and family's history ever again. It also creates a lot of people that just get stuck in that rut. That is also a product of that environment. On the flip side, like we were talking about last time, the people that come from, not even the generational wealth. I'm just talking a consistent family, Balanced household, happy household, didn't need to struggle for much, right? White picket fence for all lack of terms. That can be a very great environment, and it is. You can create all the successes. It can also be one of the worst environments ever because it can be coddling, it can be bubbly, it can create no challenge, creates no ambition, right? All of these things can come from both environments. It is how you take that environment for what it is worth and move forward and act onto yourself as you would to others. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you making decisions that make you better? When you leave your house, are you leaving a clean home in the morning so you can go into your community with that energy of I feel good, I feel myself, I did the right things, didn't leave fighting with my family and pissed off because of something that happened yesterday that had nothing to do with them. I left it clean, made bad. Now I'm going out in my community. You're not flipping people off on the drive to work when you get cut off. Ignore them, or you're waving at people. You're saying hello to the person that works the door at your business. You're saying hello to the janitor. You're energetic. You're happy. That feeds into other people. They see that. If you just walk by somebody, hey, how's it going? That's the energy they get. But if you, hey, morning, Coop, good to see you, man. Have a good day, right? That impact right there is a big difference of where and how the above average, the high performers, the successful people in life act. And if
I'll, I'll double down on that, Greg, too, in terms of tangible. When was the last time, and this is for the audience, not for you, when was the last time you called up a friend, whether they're a business owner or whether they're whatever they're doing, and just said, "Hey, how can I help you this week, this month, this year? Like, what's going on in your life right now that you could need some help with?" You know how many times I've been on calls with people and I'm just getting to know them. And at the end of the call, my question for them is if there was anyone in my network who could help you with something in your life right now, what would that one thing be? Whether it's in your life or in your business. And I'd say probably 7 or 8 times out of 10, whatever their thing is, I can't make a life-changing difference for them immediately, but it's the thought that counts. And it's the 2 or 3 times out of 10 when I ask that question where I can connect somebody right away and it does help them. Or when was the last time you went on Eventbrite and searched up events in your community and found a charity event that you could go to that doesn't cost you $500 to get in, it costs you $5. And you bought a $5 entry into this event and came and listened to a free educational seminar on blank or an event to support whatever. Or do you just go to the ones that you get invites to from your friends that are cool and of high status and high class so you can take pictures for social media to say that you were there? Do you go to the golf tournament for the big charity with all the big wigs and so that you can rub shoulders? Or do you go to the golf tournament for maybe the small judo club that's looking to raise an extra few grand? And you get to shake hands with the parents and you get to hear about the impact that it makes with their kids being in sport. So when was the last time you sought out opportunities to help people and not just because I love Greg, I love what you were talking about the waving, bringing good energy, opening doors for people, going the extra mile at work, putting in the extra effort. In addition to that, you would feel so good about yourself if you took 30 minutes a week to just sit down and journal and think about, man, what are the ways I could make a difference in my community this week? What are the extra, like the little go the extra mile things I could think about? And you'll start to see people are like, yeah, but that takes time and it takes money and all that. And so I guarantee you, if you invested the time into doing that, you'd be able to make 10x the impact on the same amount of money or less because you put thought and energy into hey, how can I invest my time? How can I be a connector of people? How can I show up to an event? Do you know how much it would mean to someone on Eventbrite right now, I think I'm going to do this after I pop off this episode. Because I'm like, you know how much it would mean to someone who's got an event posted right now and they've sold 6 tickets? And it's like mom and dad and their best friend, or three of them, that some other random person in the community goes, that sounds kind of neat. I'm going to go see if I can support it.
Mm-hmm.
That would fire that person up so much. And it just, I think these are bigger than like your little random acts of kindness of buying a coffee for someone in the drive-through where you already are. But it's also not so big that it's out of the question. It's still small enough, but it takes time to think about, instead of thinking about just yourself, it's thinking about the greater community. And that's my final point on high performance, as you're saying that, Greg, was I think someone should want to be a high performer because it's just more enjoyable and more fun. Ed Milet says winning is more fun than fun is fun. I think you can replace winning with giving is more fun than fun is fun. Like you don't need to create a life, you don't need to have a life that you need to escape from and go to the bars to have fun and go on vacations to have fun and do all that. If as you're living your life, your heart is consistently full because you're doing great things for people as you're striving to become a high performer. And I just wanted to add that on because I know a lot of times we talk about very tangible but kind of smaller things. I wanted to give some different examples of some also go the extra mile things as well that people could be doing.
I like that you mentioned journaling. I do this, and a lot of my clients do this as well. Um, Journaling can be difficult, or being intentional and writing things down, it can feel cumbersome, especially if you're not a writer naturally. I'm not. So I made it easy. This is not my strategy. I did not create this. I just use it. I don't know who created it. Some journaling guy years ago. You just have a page in your journal, 30 or 31 lines, whatever days in the month. One memorable thing from the day. And just that. It doesn't need to be something that you did or contribution, but just putting that down will make you think. Because if you had a really standard Tuesday for yourself, even if your standard Tuesday to other people is like mind-boggling because you got so much done because you are a high performer. And if that's not the case, that's fine too. But what did I yesterday? Okay, everything was the same. Oh yeah, I did that event. I went to that Eventbrite thing for that charity that was at my community's hall. Yeah, that was really, really cool. And you would just write that down. And then if you look back at that at the end of the month, you go, man, that was actually a really cool thing. I'm going to try to do that again. And now you have a list of really cool things that happened throughout that whole month that if they were different and they stood out and they felt made you feel good, try to replicate that next month in a different way. And maybe that is, I'll use the example, my community, Park Allen here in Edmonton, they do every last Wednesday of the month, they do like a community soup day where like all the ladies make soup and it's awesome. And I was invited by my neighbor across the street, Brian, and I just went briefly because I unfortunately coach when they're doing it. And they were just excited that a new person showed up. And it was cool and it was great. And it's a great little community feel. They have the ice rink there. The kids are playing pond hockey on the ODR. It's sweet. But just the presence of like, oh, wow, that guy actually showed up when I invited him to come. It's a simple act. And it was just a cool thing because I was curious and soup is awesome. So, right. But like that right there, it's a memorable thing that I did last month. And then it's a tangible thing that you can look back on and go, wow. Or, maybe you had a terrible month. Things weren't going your way. And there wasn't a lot of that stuff. But then you flip to the month before and there was a lot of that stuff. Great. March is coming. Let's say February is a terrible month for you. Then it's March. Okay, I'm going to get back, try to do more contributions, try to do more high performance type things and be less in that rut. Then it has something that you can go back to. So to me, journaling is such a powerful tool for everything. And if you venture out and you talk to the high performers in your life, or the ones that you know of, for sure the ones that are noteworthy and famous have some sort of practice like that. But I would err on the side that most have some kind of log that they keep track of. If not for any other reason than this fact, those people, because they know, whether they're humble or not, they know the impact that they create and they know that what they do is leaving a legacy. A lot of them keep those books just so they can write a memoir in their future. But even if they're doing it for that reason, which seems selfish, they still have that log and they still go back to that thing. And it is a trackable thing that they can look back and go, man, January was the month.
Here's my call to action, anyone listening to that, is let's assume that you've lived your life up to this point without tracking. And I beat a dead horse on financial budget, track your budget in your money and your time budget, financial budget. Greg just talked about tracking memorable moments. If you create a system for how to track this, it's 5 to 10 minutes a day. People think it's an hour or two. It's because you don't have a system for it. Create a system that takes 5 minutes to 10 minutes to track your life. It was related to business, but this applies to personal as well. Remember a first year marketing class? I'll shout out my professor. She had always said, what gets tracked can be changed, what gets measured gets managed. She was talking in the concept of businesses. I'm talking about the concept of your life. If you're not where you want to be, if you want things to be different, if you want things to improve, you have to track things because you cannot change what you do not track. Having said that, if you're feeling like maybe you're not where you want to be right now, or you want to be more of a high performer, or you want to be more of a difference maker in your household or in your community, first and foremost, because it's not tracked, that is an emotionally driven opinion, not a data-driven fact. However, let's lean in for now to that emotionally driven feeling and start to track things. Because I've never understood, Greg, and you might disagree with this. If you have a bad day, I get it. If you have a bad week, okay, sure. When it rains, it pours. If you have a bad month, I genuinely just think you just don't care enough about other people as you say you do. How can you have 30 bad days in a row? Because if you cared more about your community, you cared more about your family, the only way to have 30 bad days in a row is being so egotistical that all you care about is poor me, poor me, poor me. Because you let your family slip, you let your business slip, you let your community slip, you let everything slip. You got to keep your eye on the ball. And the only way you do that is through tracking. Number one, tracking. Number two, caring about people. And too many people try to say that they care about people because it feels good to say that, or they care about people as a business strategy. You can't do that. You need to actually care. You need to actually give a crap. Because then you won't slip for 30 days in a row. Then after a week, you'll have a bad week and go, man, I had zero memorable moments. I wasn't even tracking them. I didn't pre-plan my days. I didn't set a time budget. Eyes completely off the ball. Nothing's tracked. I'm feeling unfulfilled. But then to your point, Greg, you flip back over to the last time you felt good. And you go, what were some of the things I was doing? What did my time budget look like? What did my financial budget look like? When I felt secure and confident in my finances, what did it look like? When I felt like I had time, or that maybe I didn't have time, but I was fulfilled, what did my time look like? What moments did I have and did I experience? What things felt good? And there's so many people that they want to sound smart instead of be smart. They want to sound nice instead of being nice. And I can't relate to that. And I think I get that that's a lot of society teaching people to be like that. But I think if you're in those shoes, you got to take a hard look in the mirror. And why do you want to sound nice instead of be nice? Why are you going to places you feel socially obligated to go instead of places that you want to be? Why are you inviting people to places out of pity and obligation as opposed to because you want them there? Never invite me somewhere you don't want me because you think I should be there out of pity. Are you kidding me? I do things because it's the right thing to do and it's from your heart and it makes a difference. And just track your life. Because if you care about people as much as you say you do, you will take this message seriously. Because there needs to be not just an emotional, yeah, I love people and I want to help people and I want to make a difference. Okay, awesome. What is the data-driven logical conclusion that would show me that you actually want to help people make a difference? And what's interesting, Greg, this might my final thought is you had said a lot of high performers have that already. Most people, when they heard that, probably went, yeah, I doubt it. Because if they did have it, they would be talking about it. Well, no, that's also part of being a high performer, is when you're making a difference in the community, you're not making a difference to talk about it. You're making a difference to make a difference. So they've got a log of all the wins that they've had to look back and be fulfilled and look back and continue to inspire themselves to do more. But they don't need the Facebook congratulations or the look at you or, oh my God, that's so nice. The only time high performers are looking for that is not because they're seeking the congratulations and the recognition. They're trying to communicate to their audience the good that they're doing to inspire their audience to continue to do good. It's like the difference when it comes to mental health of the people who post about their mental health for attention versus the people who post about their mental health to raise awareness that, hey, I go through stuff too. So I'd imagine there's a couple things there. I know you and I usually agree on a lot, but I'd imagine there'd be a couple opinions I took and hard stances I took there where you're probably not as hard stance on it, but I'd be curious to have you close a little bit on some of your final thoughts on that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's funny on the social media piece, I'll touch there first. I often think about this. Uh, I wouldn't consider myself an influencer, but I do post a lot every single day. And it's some of my journaling, or not some, it's all of my journal prompts, fitness, judo, my coaching notes, and sometimes contribution stuff as well. And there are times where I think, oh man, this is a good time to take a picture of what we're doing here. And then I think, the most rewarding things I've done in my life, as far as giving and contribution, have been the times where I was just present. It doesn't matter that nobody knows what just happened. And it's probably better that only the 5 people here, 50 people here know, because everybody here felt that impact. And, in the world of needing to show everybody all the good we're doing, unplug and just do good for you and for the people around you, and it'll go a lot further. Now, there are times where I absolutely will post it for those reasons to show, like, hey, yeah, we are out doing good things, and this is why we're doing it. Next month, the push up challenge starts next week, actually. I'll be posting every day about that. Not to show people that I can do all these push ups, but it's about mental health. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I know I've seen the thing. It's January 28th when we're recording this, 29th tomorrow when it comes, or this is going to come out in a couple weeks. But over 22,000 men have already killed themselves with suicide. That's a big mental health issue. So, yeah, the social media piece, it's good. Inspire, but if you're posting, no matter what it is, and I've said this many times, be genuine to yourself. Make it so your social media doesn't surprise people when they meet you. Your social media presence should be like, wow, that's bang on if a stranger meets you. That is then posting for the right reasons. Even when you're doing great things, it's not posting for clicks and likes, it's posting for impact, it's posting for inspiration. Um, and that is where I see people differentiate on social media. I know who's being real and not. And in life, you need to choose to do the good. And if you've had 30 days of bad, like you said, Coop, you must be a very selfish person and it must be very exhausting being you. Nobody, no matter where they live, what side of the tracks, if they're homeless or not, has 30 bad days in a row. Without it, and I'm not saying you can have 30 bad days in a row, for sure. But at some point, it becomes self-inflicted and self-induced. There are no fingers that you can point. I personally know people currently going through cancer treatment. that have not had 30 bad days in a row. They are going through a very challenging time in their life, and they are still some of the most positive conversations I've had. So if you're stuck in those 30 days of terrible, look yourself in the mirror and ask, is it really that bad? And if the answer is still yes, well then either something is tremendously wrong in your life and you should reach out and get some help. Or give yourself a shake and get back to the positive. Get back to doing the things that are not easy, that are the right things. Doing what's easy is easy for a reason. Doing what's right is often hard because it takes time, money, effort, any number of things. It's going to take one of our valuable resources, mostly time. But if you're willing to sacrifice that time, that is the difference between being mediocre for the rest of your life and being ordinary or a high performer or successful or a community leader. Just don't settle for the garbage in life. Push for more, strive for more.
Awesome. Appreciate your insight, Greg. I think this was a good one today. Hope it inspires a few people to move from high performer to elite performer, from ordinary performer to high performer, and from mediocre performer to ordinary performer. And if we can just raise the standard for the community, we'd all be in a much better place. And it's going to start one person at a time. So appreciate the message, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you, Coop.